No, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. I don't love the crossover fights. I don't love them. They're fucking stupid. That's why. Fucking waste of time, energy, and money. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. It's silly.
I mean, that's a sick mind for one. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about there. That's quite disturbing, if I'm honest with you. It's very strange because I've got to be honest with you. I wouldn't say up my arse, but Dana's always been so complimentary about us as a company and me as a promoter.
Breaking news. The UFC president Dana White has completely trashed the Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall boxing fight, calling it unnecessary and a mismatch. He says it makes no sense for fighters from different backgrounds and professions to step into a boxing ring like this. Fans are now divided as controversy explodes around this unexpected crossover fight.
Because he's one of the dumbest motherfuckers you will ever meet. Seriously. He's a slave to stupidity, is what he is. Tito fucking retired because... Don't you remember sitting through his stupid fuck...
Tommy Fury delivers the most confident and most powerful statement of this entire situation. He says becoming 2 times heavyweight champion of the world means there is simply no proper way to dismiss what he has achieved. Tommy says he just laughs about Dana White talks now and says all of a sudden he is talking about stopping the fight with Eddie Hall.
Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about...
Dana White delivers the most disappointing verdict of his entire reaction and says he gave the people running boxing more credit than they truly deserved. Dana says he thought they would be a little better and expected genuinely more from the sport. Dana says he is definitely disappointed at Tommy Fury and Eddie Hall's fight, and the whole boxing world feels the weight of that criticism.
I gave the guys that are out there running the sport right now more credit than I should have. I thought they'd be a little better than they were. I thought there'd be a little more, I don't know. I expected more. And I'm definitely disappointed in that regard.
Frank Warren steps forward after Dana trashes the fight and reveals the most frustrating contractual situation surrounding this entire extraordinary buildup. Warren says the fighter signed a contract back in February with specific obligations to publicize and help promote the fight. Warren says right now that fighter is somewhere completely different, which is very, very disappointing for trash talk about fighters.
What he's going to do before the fight.
Contractually, he signed a contract back in February which gives him his obligations under that contract, and also gives us obligations. And he's got certain obligations there to publicise and help promote the fight. And at the moment, he's in breach of those, which is very, very disappointing.
Adam Smith and Simon Jordan deliver the most intelligent and most balanced response to Dana White trashing the Tommy versus Hall fight. Smith says Dana is genuinely a very smart guy, and what he has done with the UFC has been absolutely extraordinary. But Simon Jordan immediately points out that the commercial relationships in the UFC and what fighters get paid compared to boxing is a completely different ballgame, and Dana needs to understand that boxing operates on completely different rules.
Dana's a very smart guy, and
No doubt.
what he's done with the UFC has been extraordinary to sort of package it up, have the stories flowing, the best fighting the best. It's been fantastic. Boxing's a very different sport.
Eddie Hall steps forward after Dana White trashes the fight and delivers the most powerful and most personal response to the criticism. Hall says the strongman world has such a genuinely lengthy history of incredible achievements and amazing feats of strength. Hall says he is one of those people who lifted half a ton, which many thought was completely impossible, and he made it possible. And that same determination is exactly what he is bringing into this boxing ring.
Strongman has got such a lengthy history of achievements and amazing feats of strength, and I think I'm one of those people. You know, I've lifted the half a ton, which many thought was impossible, and I made it possible.
Tommy Fury fires back at Dana White trashing his fight with Eddie Hall and delivers the most brilliant and most cutting response to anyone who thinks strength alone determines fighting ability. Tommy says if being the strongest man in the world and picking up half a ton meant you were the best fighter, then everyone would be a world champion. Tommy says being big and strong does not mean you can fight. This is boxing, and in boxing, it is simply not about how much weight you can lift. A point that completely undermines everything Dana White used to trash this fight.
And being the strongest man in the world and picking up half a ton meant you was the best fighter of all, everyone would be a world champion, wouldn't they? If being big and strong meant you could fight, everyone would be a world champion. But in this game, it's not about how much weight you can lift. It's not about how strong you are.
Duke McKenzie steps back from Dana White trashing the fight and delivers the most balanced and most important reminder that the whole boxing world needs to hear right now. Duke says it is still a fight that genuinely interests him and says it interests absolutely everybody. Duke says these are still two of the biggest names in their respective worlds, and he simply does not care what anyone says about that. Not Dana White, not Carl Froch, not anyone. The fight is happening, and the interest is absolutely real regardless of who tries to trash it.
It's still a fight that interests you?
It's a fight that interests everybody, isn't it? Because it's still a massive fight. They are still the two biggest names in world boxing. I don't care what anybody says.
Tommy Fury delivers the most personal and most emotional statement of this entire situation after Dana White trashes the fight. Tommy says there is one thing he simply cannot let slip: someone calling out his father and having crosswords with him. Tommy says his dad is 60 years old and cannot fight himself, so Tommy is stepping in to get the job done. Tommy says his father did a lengthy jail sentence standing up for pride and the family name, and Tommy promises he is going to hold that name high no matter what Dana White
One thing
thinks.
that I can't let slip is somebody calling me father and having crosswords with my father. You know, he's 60 years old, can't fight, can't do this himself, so I'm stepping in to get the job done because, listen, my father did a lengthy jail sentence for standing up for pride and holding that family name, and I'm going to make sure I hold it.
Frank Warren delivers the most direct and most final statement about Dana White trashing the Tommy versus Hall fight. Warren says the fight is going to happen and everything else is completely and totally irrelevant, even Dana White's opinion. Warren says it is all totally irrelevant because the fight is genuinely happening and the story surrounding it is one of the most genuinely talked about and most compelling fight stories in recent British boxing history regardless of what the most powerful man in MMA thinks about it. Warren says Dana White can trash this fight as much as he wants, but when those two men step inside that ring, the whole world will be watching.
Sentiment?
This fight's going to happen. I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, it's irrelevant. It's all totally fucking irrelevant. The fight is happening. End of story.
Johnny Nelson steps forward after Dana White trashes the Tommy versus Hall fight and delivers the most intelligent observation about why Dana is saying what he is saying. Nelson says everything surrounding this situation, including Dana's trashing of the fight, is completely calculated to make both fighters angry and mad so that they completely deviate from their game plans on fight night. Nelson warns both Tommy Fury and Eddie Hall that letting Dana White's brutal criticism get inside their heads before that bell rings is giving the entire situation exactly the kind of attention and emotional reaction that makes experienced people like Dana White smile with complete and total satisfaction.
Cussing out, getting bets bit, and that's what they're all been trying to do, you know, because he's thinking if I can get this man angry, get this man mad, then he'll deviate from his.
Carl Froch delivers his most devastating verdict on Dana White trashing the Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall fight and says the whole thing makes a complete mockery of boxing. Froch calls it disgusting and disgraceful and says whoever is responsible for putting this fight together should be sitting somewhere deeply embarrassed right now. Froch says it is simply not acceptable and says he does not know why it has been done. But the whole boxing world immediately fires back at Froch and says that if Dana White, the man who built combat sports into a global empire, is taking time out of his day to trash a fight, that fight is clearly generating more attention than anyone wants to admit.
It just makes a mockery of boxing and just disgust and disgrace the room. I mean, it's disgusting and disgraceful what he's done. He should be embarrassed. I hope he is embarrassed. But it's not acceptable. I don't know why he's done it.
Joe Rogan steps forward after Dana White trashes the Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall fight and delivers the most passionate and most conflicted reaction of this entire situation. Rogan says it is genuinely crazy and genuinely incredible at the same time. Rogan says the fighters involved are genuinely two of the most entertaining personalities in combat sports right now, and says one of them is genuinely one of the best of this entire era with movement that is simply so different from everyone else. Rogan says one of the interesting things is how people keep talking about this fight regardless of whether they love it or hate it, and the fact that Dana White himself is taking time out of his incredibly busy schedule to publicly.
That's crazy.
No, it's incredible.
Those are two of the best, of this era. I think he's one of the best of all time. I really do. I think he's one of the best heavyweights of all time. And his movement is so different. One of the things that was interesting, where they were talking about the fight.
Lawrence Oakley closes everything with the most honest and most personal verdict on the entire Dana White versus Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall situation. Oakley says right now everyone considers certain fighters a genuine top 3 heavyweight in the world and says they might genuinely be that. But then Oakley says something that stops everyone completely cold. He says he does not see it that way at all and says this is not trash talk, but pure genuine honesty. Oakley says he sees certain people as just a good heavyweight and nothing more, and says he genuinely fancies his chances and says this is the fight he truly wants. The whole boxing world listens to Oakley and realizes that Dana White trashing this fight has only made more people want to watch it more.
You get a lot of, look, right now everyone considers him a top 3. Mate, he might be able to be Usyk, he might be, and it's like, I'm not in a trash talk way, but I don't see him like that. I see him as just a good heavyweight. So, I fancy my chances, and it's the one I want.
What you just witnessed was Dana White delivering the most brutal and most public trashing of a boxing fight that the sport has seen in a genuinely long time, as he called Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall completely stupid and a total waste of time, energy, and money. Eddie Hearn immediately fired back and called Dana's comments deeply disturbing. Frank Warren revealed frustrating contractual issues with fighters not fulfilling their promotional obligations. Tommy fired back brilliantly and said being the strongest man in the world does not make you the best fighter. Eddie Hall responded by talking about lifting half a ton and making the impossible possible. Adam Smith and Simon Jordan explained that boxing and UFC operate on completely different commercial rules. Duke McKenzie said it interests absolutely everybody regardless of Dana's opinion. Carl Froch called the whole thing a complete mockery. Joe Rogan called it genuinely crazy but incredible. Frank Warren said the fight is happening and everything else is completely irrelevant. And Lawrence Oakley closed by saying he sees certain fighters as just a good heavyweight and fancies his own chances. Dana White can trash this fight all he wants, but when those two men step inside that ring, the whole world will be watching every single second.